Hey everyone, Skills the Shooter here. Welcome to another driving vlog. My first one since being married. I am married. Hands off, ladies. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm married. I've got back from honeymoon. Probably about, I think it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow. And it's safe to say I've got the post-holiday, post-honeymoon blues. You know, there's that point where you're on most holidays where you go, you know what, I'm ready to go home now. That didn't even cross my mind on honeymoon. I guess it's kind of hard to think about coming back and going home when all you really need to do is flash a bracelet, and all of a sudden drinks are sort of coming to your table or poolside, or you're in the pool and you swim up to the swim up bar and you go, one mojito please, and then 30 seconds later you have a mojito in your hand. So yeah, it was an amazing time and didn't want to come back, but alas, there are responsibilities and things back in Australia that need to be paid for. So it's good to be back. It came back to a slew of games that had been released ever since I'd been on honeymoon. Black Ops 3. Shout out to Benny for taking delivery of... I shouldn't be in this lane. I really should. For taking delivery of my Juggernog edition. Black Ops 3, Halo. I didn't want to buy Halo around about because the day that Halo came out was the day that we left on the honeymoon, so I couldn't have bought it anyway. So that was one of the first purchases when we got back. Battlefront, obviously, and there was a fourth one, Need for Speed. So I'm in a bit of a conundrum at the moment. Not so much for sort of ongoing content, but more so review-based stuff, because I think it would be relatively pointless and not the best use of my time to do reviews. At least not for those four games that have now been out for, in some cases, a month and a bit in Halo's case. Which is a little bit annoying. And I guess I wanted to ask the question is, what period of time after a game's release, if it's not from like a games network or a games channel or just regular media, because I don't get games in advance. I don't know anyone short of a journalist or someone who's in the media who would actually get the game early in order for them to play it, so that when the embargo lifts they can then do a review, and then everyone wants to know what their opinion is. With me, it's kind of like you get the game on release, you invest your 10, 15 hours, however long it takes to do to get a reasonable impression of the game. And by that stage, people already know everything they need to know. So unless you're waiting for one particular person's opinion on it, what do you think the time frame is? Or what do you think the cutoff is for that sort of content? I think that the ship has sailed for at least these games at the moment, so I won't be doing reviews. But I guess what I wanted to do, and I'm kind of organised a content schedule moving forward for 2016, just to get things organised so I'm a bit more consistent with my uploads. But I guess one thing I did want to do is do first impressions, which, for the most part I'm able to do on, all four of those games. So maybe we can talk a little bit about first impressions. So, should we start with, let's start with something strange. Need for Speed. Let's start with that. So, ever since I got back, my internet's been shit. Let me just get rid of that notification. It's been shit. And I bought a Need for Speed thinking, wrongly, that would be the game that tides me over until I got the service people out to fix my internet woes. Forgetting, of course, that that's a game that requires an always online connection. Couldn't even connect to the EA servers. My speed was that bad, 0.2 or thereabouts. Didn't even classify itself as a connection, so I couldn't even play that. But since then, out of all those 4 games, I've probably played Need for Speed the most. So I think I'm in a pretty good space to give you first impressions. And it's something I alluded to a couple of vlogs back, and that's me figuring out that the type of racing games that I like are the arcadey ones. For years, I'd filled my Xbox catalog with Forza and I suppose prior to that, when I had my original PlayStation, Gran Turismo, all that sort of stuff. They're great, but they're not the kind of driving games, the simulation type, are the ones that keep me coming back to the point where I'll invest 3-4 hours in any given gaming session. And a lot of that has to do with Forza Horizon 2, in order for me to sort of make that distinction between the kind of driving games that I like. And for the most part, this is just as enjoyable, I think, as as Forza Horizon 2. I don't think the storyline, which has been spoken about a little bit, is a little on the cheesy side. But funnily enough, it's kind of in that realm of Fast and Furious cheesiness, that you know that it exists and you just tolerate it. And some of the characters are kind of endearing, like when the phone rings in game and it's a particular person, you kind of go, oh, I don't really want to hear from that person. And then you've got other ones that as soon as that phone rings, it's almost like you want to talk to them, which is a strange sort of behaviour. But I'm enjoying it. I've managed to get a 200SX, a car that I used to own in real life, up to about 615 horsepower at the moment, and that's really good drift experience. I tend to approach every corner as a drifting experience. So the storyline's ticking over. That's quite good. The controls are, as you would expect, noticeably arcadey, and that's fine. I would have liked a few more cars. The customization, without straying too much into a simulation kind of setup, that's quite good. It's basically sliders for each sort of characteristic of braking and brake bias and I suppose driving style, drift versus grip. But yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I think I'll probably go. I'm on the way home now, so I'll probably just invest a little bit more time before going out tonight. So yeah, first impressions. I suppose first impression score, if we have to give it a score, I'll give it a solid 7.5 so far. And then I can only imagine that score would potentially increase when I get enough money to buy the Lambos and the some of the other high spec cars which are available, but at the cost of like 200 grand. So I'll bank some money and see if I might do some car showcase videos. Who knows? Next, let's do Battlefront, because I'm kind of worried about Battlefront, but it's a futuristic worry. I'm not worried about it at the moment because I'm still enjoying it, but everyone is making comparisons to the kind of bell curve of hype versus realization, and it just having the legs in order to keep going and keep that popularity. They're trying to do a comparison to Titanfall and to a lesser extent Evolve. Now, cast your mind back to the last time you played Titanfall. Okay, I'll give you a second. When was that? Exactly. So I love Titanfall to the point where, you know, me and Ben did a dual comm on it, and we were just waxing lyrical about how awesome we thought it was. But then there was a very steep drop off when there wasn't, there just wasn't enough to keep you hooked in. And say what you like about Call of Duty, you know, at least there's a first player, at least there's a campaign to keep you occupied in those times when you don't really feel like jumping online and doing battle with, you know, sweaty tryhards trying to 360 no scope all the time, or people who are trying to game the system and just generally making it shit for everyone. Because there is you know, quite a large, you know, portion of that Call of Duty audience that does that plays the campaign first and foremost and doesn't really like multiplayer all that much. I'm not part of that demographic, but I know they exist. But with Battlefront, they've got such a great canon and a story that they could, you know, the purists probably wouldn't appreciate them reimagining anything. But I mean, you could have a story. It couldn't be. Wouldn't have to be anything to do with the Star Wars that we know and love. It could be a completely different campaign, something like what Shadow of Mordor did. I can't imagine there'd be anything wrong with that, as long as it's done right. Because for the most part, I still like firing up Battlefront, which you'd like to think would still be the case, you know, 2 weeks after its release. But for all the things they did right, they did incredibly right. But yeah, will the absence of a campaign ultimately hurt that? Who knows? I hope it doesn't, because, like I said, I'm still enjoying, you know, the sound design and just getting back into that nostalgia. I love it. I haven't played too many modes other than like Fighter Squadron and Blast and I think it's Drop Pod, I think it is. So I really do need to get amongst all those different modes just to give you more of a well-based first impression. But I think first impressions, for the sake of this vlog, I'm going to say 7, with the possibility of that creeping up. You know, should I find a game mode that I can consistently do well in, and I am doing well in it, actually. It's surprising. I'm an average Call of Duty player, and I thought that I would get absolutely smashed, thinking that those skills wouldn't convert. But for the most part, I'm doing okay in Battlefront. So yeah, let's say 7. Halo, I've only done 1 mission so far, but that feels awesome, I've got to say. I've done the video for it. I haven't uploaded it yet. I'll wait a couple of days before I upload it, because I don't have the speed. But yeah, just the controls felt just like super slick, really smooth, and yeah, I get the impression that I'm going to really enjoy the campaign, especially. I haven't ventured online. I'm not going to make that traffic light. I haven't ventured online once yet, so at least from a campaign point of view, I mean, it's really too early to do a first impressions based on that anyway. I'm half an hour into the game, but it feels awesome, and I'm liking a lot of the new sort of weapon types that have been introduced, and I suppose just the noticeable jump that you see from Halo 4 to Halo 5. Like, the Xbox gets a lot of stick, obviously, for not being as powerful, but whatever they've been able to wring out of the Xbox One to get this game looking as good as what it does, congrats. It looks awesome. Yeah, I won't actually give a first impression score for Halo, because, you know, I've literally played 2% of the game. Well, there's only 15 missions, so I played 1/15 of the campaign and no multiplayer. And the multiplayer is actually the thing that a lot of outlets said was the biggest game changer this year, because it's really well polished, and there's a game mode which is really unique and actually makes it awesome. Makes it awesome. What am I saying? And the last one was Call of Duty. Yeah, Call of Duty. You know, say what you will. I've got the Juggernaut edition. I've done the recording of the unboxing, but I wasn't happy with the audio because it was done in the man cave, and the lapel mic didn't sync up properly. So it's using the audio from a GoPro, which GoPro users know that the audio isn't fantastic coming out of a GoPro. Haven't ventured into the campaign of Call of Duty yet. Played probably about 2-3 hours worth of multiplayer. So again, it probably isn't worth me giving a first impression score on that. Just wouldn't be fair to the game. I'm going to try and get a bit more well-rounded in terms of my video content. I'm going to throw my hat into the gun guide ring and see what, because now that I've got stats for those guns, and maybe even for the Battlefront probably not as much, because there's not a lot of guns in that game, but certainly for Black Ops 3, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring and try and do some gun guides, because that's one thing I really like doing is the editing and looking at, you know, the production values of that other people put into their own videos, and seeing if I can emulate those in a way. But yeah, but I am enjoying Call of Duty, at least the multiplayer aspect. It's frustrating at the moment a little bit, because I'm only using shotguns at the moment, because I'm trying to get game footage for shotguns. So I'm steadily working my way through a few multiplayer games, and there are games that I do well in, and then there are games where I get absolutely beasted because I'm using a shotgun. But it is still fun. So yeah, I've waffled on. Wow, this is like a 17-minute video already. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, what do you think the cutoff is for reviews that can happen? 10 days, a week, fortnight? And also let me know what you think of all those 4 games that I mentioned. What are you experiencing? Are you liking what you're seeing at the moment, or has Battlefront been a bit of a letdown for you, content-wise? Yeah, just let me know what you think. If you're enjoying them, will they be on your Christmas list? Do you want to know anything about any of these games because you're saving up, or you're going to tell someone to get it for you for Christmas? So yeah, write me a question, I'll answer it, and we'll go from there. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you like the vlog and want to see more vlogs from me, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, because some more content's going to be coming. And if you like any of the gameplay and any of the other videos on my channel, subscribe and you won't miss out. So another notification, I'll get rid of that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.